My friend Jerry is going to talk to us about his faith.
Okay, my faith happens to be Judaism, and it's a classical faith that stood the test of 5,700 years. And consequently, it's based on the Ten Commandments, the 5 books of Moses, and it's classical in law, engineering, architecture, in every phase of our humanity throughout the world. And because it's that classical, and I can't find a substitute for it, I practice it with a moral compass. That means that how I treat people, I want people to treat me. I don't expect that. On the other hand, thou shalt not steal. Well, I've gone back to recently to 2 restaurants to say that you didn't charge me enough.
Wow.
Okay? Versus other people saying, well, I just beat them out of a dinner or whatever. You have to live the religion. And it doesn't mean that you have to be religious as much as I continually try to strive to understand the 5 books of Moses and what the Kabbalah says and the Gemara and the Tanakh, which are segments of that. And I say there's so much wisdom in that I don't even know about, that I don't want to reinvent the future by doing something that I don't even know about because it's written. I should learn about it so I don't make that mistake. But one of them is the 10 Commandments and the 5 books of Moses are simple. Every religion in the world starts from there.
Yes.
And my religion is very simple. Is I'm going to take care of myself, my family, and my community. And that doesn't mean socialism or communism. I won't embarrass people by giving them charity all the time. I'll help them help themselves.
Amen.
That's it.
You mentioned something to me about Russia, the Jews in Russia compared to the Sephardic. I know I'm going to mispronounce the name.
Right.
Sephardic.
Sephardic Jews come from the Mediterranean. They were pushed out of, in 1492, were pushed out of Spain and Portugal. And they developed in countries around that triangle.
Okay.
Not triangle, but it's like a horseshoe. So if you went to any country that was facing it, you would find a Jewish community.
That was the Middle Eastern
Yeah.
part of Europe.
Right?
Okay.
And parts of Africa as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other Jewish people were in Israel, in that part of the country, for 5,700 years. And people started to find their way there, looking for their homeland, which was promised to them by God.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Israel. So people started migrating there, great. And then in 1920, the San Remo Treaty, the British held that part, recognized Israel as a state. And then in 1948, President Truman turned around and recognized Israel as a state. And they offered the people that were there that were not Jewish another state, which they refused. And of course, there's been 3 or 4 wars, and Israel survived ever since. And what can I say? But the only place we have to go in case there's anti-Semitism running rampant here is the only haven you have is Israel.
Let me ask you this. This is how I feel. There is no Palestine. That's just how I feel. I'm not saying anyone else should feel that way.
Well, hold it. Let me answer that. When they divided the countries up after the First World War, especially, they had a kingdom called Jordan.
Yes.
Jordan was a Palestinian state on the east bank of the Jordan River.
Oh.
That was the state of Palestine with the Jordanians at the time. The king kicked them out and pushed them across the Jordanian River into Judea and Samaria, which is Israel.
So you're saying that the Palestine did have a land.
No.
It was in Jordan.
There was no such thing as a Palestine.
So there was, so then Jordan
Was the homeland for those Arabs.
for the air, okay. And then the king was it King Abdullah? I don't know which
No,
king.
it was the king of Jordan.
Jordan. He kicked them out, which pushed them into
Across the Jordan River
River,
into
Judea
Judea
and
and
Samaria.
Samaria, which is a part of Israel.
Okay.
And now the Jordanian king doesn't want him coming back on the east part of the Jordan River.
Okay.
So they want to make a state in Judea and Samaria, which would be a calamity, in my opinion.
How do you, I looked at the map, which I'm going to tell everyone I'm against, 100% against. You cannot push Israel back into those borders because you can't defend it.
Right.
Right.
Okay, America, wake up. If you look where the borders were back then, you can't defend a piece of mattress when you got springs on all sides. You can't do it. So, today, we have Obama, Kerry, going to Israel, he's already in Israel, to try to get a peace treaty. I'm going to say it as closely as I can. That peace treaty is like slavery trying to have a peace with the slave owners coming together. And we know it won't work.
They won't let it work, the Muslims.
Exactly.
They won't let it work.
You have to understand, there's some major situations here. One is, they're avowed that they will never recognize Israel as a country.
I know.
So it would be foolish to make a peace treaty with somebody who wants to kill you.
Exactly.
Wipe you off the map.
Number two, the prosperity, because this is another misconception, the prosperity they have in the Palestinian area is because of the trade they're having with Israel. And if you want to know who's taking care of all of their medical needs, it's Israel. When you go to the hospitals and see the Palestinians being taken care of by Jewish doctors and nurses and so forth, and then they're going back, and these are the ones that want to kill the Jews.
Yes.
In fact, one of the hospitals had to dig down 10 stories, dig down in the ground to build a hospital above that, okay? Because when a war starts, the first thing they attacked is the Jewish hospitals where the Palestinians are in. So you have to understand that the operating rooms will now operate because they can't bomb those. So the point is very simple. The Prime Minister is doing the right thing. He's listening because we're supposed to be allies.
You're talking about,
Well, we're not going to be allies for one other reason.
you're talking about Benjamin Netanyahu,
Yeah.
not like him.
Right. And he's saying, I'll be very nice, I'll do what I got to do, but if you really looked at the actions of Obama, the president of our country, he's on the side of the Muslims. The Muslim Brotherhood,
Yes.
that he put in power in Egypt that just got overthrown. Our friends that we had in Syria, though, he said, got to get rid of the tyrants. The same in Libya. I go through the entire, and also Saudi Arabia. Now, the Saudis and the Israelis and all of the Arab countries, including Egypt, are together, and who's out looking in is America, and who's coming in? Russia.
So Russia's going to be the savior. Is that what you're saying to me?
Well, they are in Syria already, and they are in the Mediterranean already, with a base, naval base. The point I'm trying to make is, the actions of our president is to take the terrorists of the world that they support. He said we got rid of Al-Qaeda, I don't know if you remember that.
We ain't got rid of
Al-Qaeda's
them.
expanded.
Banding.
Has expanded,
Yeah.
okay? I can keep on going down the line. He put the Muslim Brotherhood in power in Egypt and made Israel make a treaty with the Muslim Brotherhood who says, I want to get rid of Israel.
Yes.
He's now made a treaty with Iran that says, I want to wipe Israel off the face of the map.
And they denied the Holocaust as well.
That's why
And
I keep-
they're not even, Israel's not on maps in the Iranian schools.
Schools. So here's my question. Now, I studied Israel Haven't been there. Like to go. My friend lives in Tel Aviv. They keep getting me to go. I'm like, I gotta go when it ain't too hot. I don't like heat. Shoot, me and heat don't work.
It's only hot in the summer.
So that's why I won't go in the
Or
summer.
in the fall.
But he talked about, because what I really want to see, which is what I can't see, because they built on top, you know what I'm about to say,
Yeah.
where the Wailing Wall's at, was the temple. Go ahead, you
Go
know.
ahead, you can go now, it's dug down,
Yeah,
we
they-
went
they
through
go in
it.
there.
It's a whole big thing they dug
But the whole
down.
thing there is they built that mosque
Purposely, say it.
because that's how they have a victory. When you go down Ventura Boulevard now, you'll see some buildings with a big
Thousand
dome
Oaks
on them.
Boulevard.
Thousand Oaks Boulevard with domes. That's how they claim a victory, is by building a dome and a mosque or
That's
a
what the
mosque.
mosque like.
Yeah, that,
So this is what they want to do in New York, if you remember the big
Yes.
fight they had in New York.
near the World Trade Center, yes.
Because the World Trade Center
Disgusting.
came down, they wanted to put up a mosque to say, this is our victory.
Victory.
It's also, when I was reading a little bit of the Quran, didn't finish it, they want to mark their land. There's something about owning the land. They think if they can mark the land,
Well, that's
that
what
they
they do.
own it.
not
One thing that bothered me is that they're taking the churches away from the Orthodox Christians in Turkey.
Killing them.
Let's just say killing them, yes.
The Coptics are-
And taking the churches away and building mosques. I mean, they're trying to scrape off the paint and put these big signs about mosques. And I'm thinking, wow. And the one thing that I say to them is this: you can remove the church. You can. Because he doesn't live in the church.
It's a building.
He lives in us. And that's one thing you can't kill.
He'll try that. See, because the Quran is very interesting, which they don't even want to address because they're afraid of Islam. It says in there, very simple, very simple, is you didn't believe in Muhammad. Now, if you want to believe in him, you got to give up all your worldly possessions, and beside that, you can't have any worldly possessions after that. You're like a slave. And that's why they call you the infidel. If you don't believe in Muhammad, we should kill you.
Yes.
That's why they have these bombers going around
Yes.
killing people.
Yes.
Because they're going to go to heaven with 72
Virgins, yes.
I don't know if there's 70.
I didn't,
Not that many left in the world.
World, I want to know, what did the women get? Because the women are now blowing themselves up.
They're crazy.
So here's
That's right.
this is the point. If you read the Quran closely, those paragraphs alone say it is not a religion, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It is a way of killing people under a subterfuge that it's a religion. And
yes,
that's why you have all these fights now that you have in Sudan and Darfur and
Yes.
Yemen and Somalia and the rest. The Sunnis against the Shiites, they believe in a different way in
Yeah.
Islam. But if you're a Catholic or a Jew, you don't find any more Jews there at all. They're all gone. The Coptics are getting killed every day. Their churches are getting burned.
And it amazing, you know what amazes me?
Christian.
Yeah, what amazes me, and this is the one thing that I know I'm probably going to get some hate mail behind, but I stand behind this, is that we have a president that has turned his face against the Christians that are in Syria and in Egypt.
Yep.
They just took a nunnery over in Syria. God forbid, I don't even want to know what they're going to do to these nuns. But our president has turned his total face against them. Now, to me, to have Russia come in as the savior of Christians and Jews, it blows my mind. But that may be what happens, because America has not opened their eyes to see that the man that's at the top is doing no good for all the rest of humanity.
There's no question about it. Look what he's done to the blacks.
Well, he hasn't done anything for them.
Oh, no.
More unemployed.
No. There they are. More food stamps, more unemployed. I'll give you a free phone. At least this is called legal
Yep.
bribery.
Yep.
You see, and I'll give you $42,000 worth of benefits. $42,000 without working. If you work and make less than $29,000, you can make $72,000 a year. And plus the taxes you would have paid is $80,000 for not working or working part-time. My point that I'm trying to make here is we have such a prosperous country. What is his records with the black community killing each other?
Nothing.
Or youths going around that can't get a job? Used to go
Nothing.
around hitting people on the street.
It's called knockout, nothing. He won't say anything.
But he won't come up and say, it starts in the home.
No.
That it starts with a commitment, and it doesn't start with charity, and saying, I don't even want your vote unless you're gonna be employed properly and do the right thing. What he's doing is buying the votes legally. They voted, what, 96% for him?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because if I got it for free,
Yeah,
I got it.
yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Not to elevate, which is what you want to do. You want to
Yeah.
elevate the people.
The thing is, you know, when I tell the story of certain, a lot of blacks do not know their own history. They don't know that Martin Luther King was not a Democrat. They don't know that Frederick Douglass was not a Democrat. They don't know that Harriet Tubman was not a Democrat.
Well, let me go a step
They don't know any of this, and because they don't, they think they was held back by the Republicans. But what they don't understand, what held them back was not the Republicans.
The Democrats.
Was
It was a
Abraham
Democrat.
Lincoln was a Republican?
Well, start
and he
there.
freed us.
Hold on, start there, because ask this way. Abraham Lincoln wrote the Emancipation Proclamation, put into effect in 1863, against all odds, against his own party.
And who helped him? Frederick Douglass.
Okay, now you just keep on going. No, just keep on going down the line. After the war, who was the Ku Klux Klan? All Democrats in the South that kept the blacks down again. Who opened up the schools? President Eisenhower went to Little Rock with the National Guard, integrated the schools. Now you can keep on going through that, and they say, what has Jesse Jackson done? Or Reverend Sharpton has done?
Nothing.
Or Clayton Powell has done. Go down the whole line. What has any of these these black leaders have done?
Well, I'll do you one better. Most of them don't know that a lot of the black universities that was started was by Republicans.
No, I'm sure they don't.
They don't know that.
Yeah.
The thing
You know,
that-
and what
the thing
makes
that
me...
we don't know is who walked with Martin Luther King, but the Jews.
Here's the other thing they don't know. When Martin Luther King died, who benefited?
He's what?
Who benefited when he died?
Jesse Jackson.
You got it. People don't know that. He wouldn't have been and done nothing.
Oh,
So-
he's a rebel.
And so for me right now, it's about waking up. I don't think blacks know that there was a gentleman and a female in 1800s who have patents. So you can't say the Republicans was holding them down when they had patents. The first bills, 16 bills, all Democrats voted no for to help blacks. All of them. Not one stood. Not one. You could even go back to the blackest president they were, which was Clinton. But his mentor was a part of the KKK.
Yeah.
Come on. When are they going to wake up and smell the coffee?
Well, look what you got now in the White House. You got Valerie Jarrett,
Yo, don't go there.
who is Iranian. Her father is the chief financial officer of the Muslim Brotherhood. So when you start to look at that close to the president, she runs the White House.
Yes.
Hillary Clinton's secretary and best friend is also Muslim.
Yeah, her mom was a part of the sisterhood, and her dad was part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Here's even worse. I did my research, and it scares me to death that I did not know this, and I'm going to say, like most Americans, was ignorant to the point. And that was during Serbia. A lot of us don't understand this war. I didn't. When I go back and look at it, that was something we never should have got involved with. Here's something that most Americans don't know. One of the worst concentration camps was not in Germany. It was in Turkey. I looked at that and I was appalled. Hitler got his best ideas from who? Turkey. Turkey.
He got it from one other person,
Who?
the guy in Egypt who was the
What was his name?
Caliph of Jerusalem. He invented the the extermination of the Jews.
That he did?
The
Okay.
Grand Mufti of Jerusalem.
Okay. So you have all this. But most people don't even know Muslims, Hitler even had Muslims as Nazis.
My son,
How do you have a Muslim as a, he doesn't even fit the Aryan race.
that's right.
They were the killers.
That's my point.
You know, Golda Meir said something wonderful.
Yeah, she did.
She said, there will only be peace when the Muslim mother loves her child more than she hates us.
Say that again?
There will only be when the Muslim mother, you know, the ones who raise their kids because they go out and
Yeah.
become human bombs, when the Muslim mother loves her child more than they hates the Jews, you know, Israel.
Well, I'm going to do you one. When a black mother loves her child more than she loves drug and a man,
Uh-huh.
her child would be prosperous
That's right.
and won't be on welfare.
Except that, I gotta say this in defense of it, the black mother
Yes.
is really for the
Yes.
kids that have raised up well. Rarely is it the father, it's usually the mother.
Exactly.
It's a matriarchal
Yes.
society.
Yeah, and I'm part of that because my raised me. But she raised me with an iron fist.
That was okay. I have a good friend,
I mean, it was just like the Iron Dome of Israel. It's like, ah!
friend who's black, and he's a terrific guy. Would talk to you. Could you imagine them having a conversation? You guys would agree 100%. And it was his mother. He's still his mother died, but he's still dutiful to his father.
Yeah.
And he says he didn't do me any good in my life, but it's still my father.
Yeah, and this is the
He's got
point
this.
that I try to make, is that Israel is so important to America.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
The only
think,
friend
To
I
the
got in
world.
the Middle East.
I don't
The only
think,
friend.
America, and I don't think black America, I'm gonna just say it like, don't understand
Right.
the march. I don't think they understand we weren't alone when we marched. Now, yes, there's racism in those two communities in New York that I just don't understand. I'll never understand racism because I just don't get it.
I know.
But I think they both have forgotten who they are. And this is the time to put it aside because genocide is upon us. The media is choosing to make the haves and the have-nots into enemies of the state,
President.
along with the president.
Well, the country, yeah.
Because you got people who've worked their butt off to get what they got.
Yeah.
Wasn't given to
And he
them,
wants to take it away.
and he wants to take it away.
People who don't want to work.
And don't want to work.
I don't mind helping somebody who can't work.
He needs to go back to the biblical turn. You give a man a fish,
Right.
he'll eat the fish. Give a man a pole, he'll make a business.
That's right.
That's what we need to get back to.
That's,
Okay, we're gonna get back to the football game right now.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You girls can talk.